can you share more about Amirs Law and what that entails?
Well, I'll go first and then they can certainly talk from a personal matter. But I think Amirs Law is one that stands for the proposition of abolishment completely of no-knock warrants, because we know they have been executed disproportionately against people of color. And, you know, there was a reporter that asked where there's a push to say, well, we will ban them in most instances, but use them only for a limited purpose in an exigent situation where life may be in jeopardy. And Amir's parents and myself and Jeff, all of us said in unison, no, because we can't trust them. They will make everything an exigent situation and keep doing the no-knock warrants, because apparently that's why Minneapolis tried to insist that they use a no-knock warrant for nighttime service, because they tried to claim that this was an exigent situation. So Amir's Law is to ban no-knock warrants completely in the state of Minnesota, and we pray that President Biden will follow suit.
I second that. It's mandatory, and we demand that Amir's Law is put into play immediately, not later, immediately, on no-knock warrants across this country, to be abolished completely.
Anything you want to add, Karen?
I agree. I believe that with this law, we'll be able to save many more lives, and we'll be able to make sure that no matter where you're sleeping, whether it's on the floor, a blow-up mattress, or a couch, that you're going to be safe in your home.
Have you received any support from local lawmakers? You called out Biden on implementing this on a national level. Have you received any support on a national level from lawmakers either?
Well, certainly on a national level, apparently after Amir Locke was killed, President Biden's press secretary said the president was deeply considering having a ban on no-knock warrants on the federal officers nationwide. That was number one. Then the Congressional Black Caucus members reached out to offer prayers and condolences to Karen and Andre, but to also say we need to ban no-knock warrants. So we feel that on the federal level it's moving faster than here in Minnesota, and so that's why I'm glad we're talking to your audience, because they represent Minnesota, and Minnesota needs to stand up for Amir and help get this law passed immediately. Petition the governor, to call your lawmaker, do whatever you have to do, but we can't lose the next Amir.
Yeah. And you know, to that point, Ben, I know you led on legislation for George Floyd, the George Floyd Policing Act, that didn't pass. So do you feel like Biden is ready to move now? Do you feel like there has been resistance from on a national level, I would say, for true change, true reform or transformation in policing, not just in Minnesota, but across the country?
Well, I think in many states you're starting to get reform, but because the United States Senate is so polarized along party lines, not one Republican would vote for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Thus, it did not pass. So I think President Biden is preparing to issue an executive order, which we believe is going to include no-knock warrants being banned, and more than likely in Amir's and Brianna's name.
And I know that this has been devastating for your family. Can you talk about how this has impacted both of you individually and collectively as a family?
Individually, can't sleep. Going to bed crying, waking up crying, learning that I've been crying in my sleep. It's almost an unbearable pain. You know when you have that itch sometimes that you can't. It's like an inside itch that we call it. and you can't reach it, but this pain is almost, I can't reach it to stop it. So it's deep. It's all the way down to my feet, to my entire core, and it's almost impossible to shake it. I don't think that I'll ever be able to shake it. I know that I have to continue to live as an individual, as a man, that still have children to take care of and family to take care of. But I know that this won't leave anytime soon. It won't ever leave me. I have to still survive. I have to learn how to survive again.
It's been very difficult. When I got the call, I didn't believe it. I was in shock. I'm still in shock. I'm on an emotional roller coaster ride, so I can't, you're happy, you're angry, you're sad, you're mad. I still, like I said, I feel hollow inside. I know my heart beats, but sometimes I have to feel it just to make sure, but it's a feeling that I've never experienced. It'll never be the same without Amir.
What do you miss most about him?
His laugh and his smile. And he was funny and lovable, kind, free-spirited. He touched anybody that would met him. You're gonna remember who he is because he has that infectious energy that he puts off with everybody that he meets.
For each of his, for each of your children, you learn them, and with each of them, I always tell them how much I love them. Always. Whenever I see his older brother, Andre, and I see Amir, I always hug them and kiss them. Kiss them on the cheek, because it'll be like, Dad. That's a little too much. So don't do that in front of my parents, but Dad. But always let it be known how much I love them. And even sometimes when they didn't want to say it back, they would say it back. Love you too, Dad. I miss that. I remember talking to Amir FaceTime, and I said, man, why is it so tough to get a picture of you? You'll post pictures of yourself sometimes, but why is it so hard for me to get a picture? So while he was talking, I was taking pictures while I was FaceTime with him. So what you see me in the background in his face. So I said, it's okay now. I got a couple shots, So I'll miss those things. And just being able to laugh with him and him to talk to me about business credit and the lines of business credits and the next steps to take for my business. He was like, Dad, these are the steps that you have to take. This is what's going to help you and help your company. This will help you gain more finances for your company. Just him, he was sharp. He was a light. And when he started talking, you had to listen. So he command your attention just from the way that he spoke. He was always a calm speaker. He never got loud. He just speak really subtle. But when you listen, you knew that it had power behind it. I don't know if that makes sense. So, but yeah.
You want to tell about how you would tell your mama, I hear you.
Yeah, he didn't like chaos. He liked, it's because of me also, but he likes, our house would always be quiet regardless. So he liked quiet, peaceful. So one time, I got a little loud with him and I was just, discussing something with him and I was yelling and he was like, Mom, and he was so calm. He was like, Mom, he's like, you don't have to yell. He's like, you don't have to be so loud. And I stopped dead in the conversation because I was kind of taken back. Like he just told me, don't be yelling at him. And so I respected him and I realized that you can learn from your child no matter how old they are.
That's right.
And from that day forward, I realized and learned that I don't ever have to yell at this one because he listens to me.
Yeah.
And so that's what I love about something that I learned. And I'll add, he also is the one that told me I needed to start an Instagram. I was never, he's the reason why I had an Instagram. You need to get an Instagram. You need to follow this person and that person. You take my phone and just start following people. We need to get you into this and you're going to be doing this. He said, Mom, you're going to get into your Instagram. I'll make sure of it.
Love it.
So I'll miss that too.
He with music, he kept me in track with everything that's popping in hip hop culture.
You know, and I'm glad that you brought up the music piece, because when you shared that he was into music, he had aspirations to pursue music, and knowing your background, you know, was there any part of you that was hoping he was going to follow in your footsteps?
You know, what I learned as becoming a father was not to put pressure on your children, but to give them the choice to choose for themselves. You know, that was just something that he picked up himself. You know, and when he and his older brother, so and they're superstars, they're mega stars. But anyhow, no, it wasn't anything that I wanted them to do, but knowing that they picked that up, I was happy, you know, because they were able to learn from me. But they even went even further than I did. You know, Amir and his older brother learned how to engineer everything, how to work every Pro Tools, how to do everything. They learned how to do everything, things that I didn't know how to do at the time. So, and that's what got me back into music. Amir and his brother, they came over to the house and it was like, Dad, you need to be back out there. And I'm like, okay, so what you mean? Like, you need to be back out there. So we brought this equipment. You're gonna start recording, and we're gonna get you back out there. And I was like, okay. So yeah, I'm gonna miss all of those things.
Crump, what can you say about the state of the Minneapolis Police Department?
Well, obviously there seems to be institutionalized bias where whatever happens, they keep killing black people unjustly. You know, I'm mind boggled about George Floyd after David Smith. And then you come and you see within a year of that, you know, Amir Locke. And so you really scratch your head and you think about all the things that have happened in the Twin City in recent years. Philando Castile, Jamal Clark, Winston Smith, George Floyd, Dante Wright, now Amir Locke. And you're like, there has to be something systemic going on here, because that's the only thing that can make sense of it, that there's a problem with the policies. It wasn't just about Derek Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck that killed George Floyd. It was about the chokehold, the fact that they can use these carotid artery techniques on certain people. And they're not doing that to white men, they're doing it to black men. Furthermore, you think about, it was the allegation of passing a worthless $20 bill. They could have gave him a notice to appear. But when it's black people, they have a tendency to do the most. You know, not to use the least intrusive, but to use the most excessive. And then we saw that plot with Dante Wright. She could have gave him a notice to appear. Why were you trying to tase him? It goes along with the systematic bias that says, do the most. And then we come to Amir Locke. There was no need to execute a no-knock warrant and ask for nighttime service. That's the most dangerous method of executing a warrant. I mean, it's bad enough you busted in my house, but now you're gonna bust in my house while I'm asleep? Man, it's so foreseeable that this is dangerous for everybody, but yet they allow that to happen in Minneapolis. And if history has taught us anything, and this is Black History Month. I mean, he got killed 2/2/22. Black History Month. We supposed to be learning from our recent history. Breonna Taylor, we know that Breonna was killed as a result of this unnecessary, unjustifiable, unconstitutional no-knock warrant. that left that sister's body mutilated with 9 bullets while she was practically naked in her nightgown in her own apartment. And so when they studied that in Louisville, they found out that 82% of the no-knock warrants, and this what it's foreseeable that somebody is going to get hurt, somebody innocent, like Karen's baby boy, like Andre's apple of his eye, because 82% of the no-knock warrants were against African-American families and households. And 68%, they found nothing that they were looking for on those search warrants. But yes, they had violated their constitutional rights and they busted in their house. What psychological trauma are those families going to have for the rest of their life, even though nobody was hurt, to know that we have no right to feel secure in our home because the police could just bust in it at any time. But Minneapolis apparently didn't learn that lesson from Breonna, that black people have a right to the Fourth Amendment, and certainly because Andre and Karen knew he was a good kid, law-abiding kid. He had a licensed gun permit. Mm-hmm. And obviously, when you bust in our house, I have the right to exercise my Second Amendment rights. And apparently, Minneapolis must think neither the Second Amendment nor the Fourth Amendment apply to black people.
And here we are, it's been more than a week. I know I've heard publicly you both request that the officer be fired. Are you hopeful that that demand will still be met? Crump, maybe, I don't know if you've spoken to Ellison at all. I know that Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman has reached out to his office again to help handle this case. At this point, we haven't really heard much of an update in terms of the officer being terminated or any criminal charges. What are your thoughts about that and the amount of time that's lapsed? Are you hopeful that that will still happen?
I think they can tell you directly what they want to see with the officer. I guess we'll start with Kara. She's very clear.
Of course, we want him fired and we want him prosecuted to the fullest.
And we want him to serve jail time.
Yes.
The end.
Yeah, because their loss is permanent. And I think what they said, they never thought they would be burying their child. They thought their child would be burying them. And it's just unbelievable when you watch those last seconds of his life.
What are your thoughts about the handling of the information that was shared with the press? There was a press conference Mayor Fry and Interim Police Chief Amelia Huffman held. They were not very responsive to direct questions about why Amir was called a suspect. They weren't responsive about why photographs of his gun were published without the context that he was a legal gun owner. What
he was a suspect, and even though his name wasn't on the search warrant. Yeah.
What accountability there do you feel like there should be accountability for the interim police chief and the mayor in the way that they've handled this?
We think there should be accountability at every level. Yes. Obviously, we'll be bringing a civil action against the city, and we expect that the prosecutors, Freeman and Ellison, to bring criminal culpability.
So just to wrap it up, I know you are based out of Minneapolis. Could you talk about the deterioration of trust that we've seen since George Floyd with the Minneapolis Police Department and the city?
Man, we didn't expect to be here. We've been forced into this matter. It's obvious that the no-knock warrant ban was a lie. That's it. It's a lie. They have to change the laws now. We're looking for accountability, transparency, and we need that law to pass immediately. the Amir Locke Law for no-knock warrants.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Pass the Amir Locke Law now.
Anything else you want to add? Anything I didn't ask that you think is important that you want to share?
They didn't know who they were encountering when they came into that house unannounced, but they know now. And we're gonna make sure that they know who Amir Locke is.
Thank you so much for your time. Again, if there's anything I can do moving forward, I'm here for all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.